Has it?
That game was real this morning. Do you know that?
I heard that rumor that it was real.
It was real. It counts.
It was real early. I know that.
Yeah, look at Kratz. He's dancing. He got to wake up at 5:30 in the morning to watch a little ball. That was a fun game.
It was.
Yeah.
I mean, it was about what we expected. Dodgers wear you down, and the Padres aren't as good as people think.
Do people think they're good?
The Padres?
Yeah.
I got roasted on Twitter after saying that what are they doing? And because the Padres fans are like, they're going to be a wild card team. And I'm like, are they though? I mean, are they? I mean,
you said it with your chest. I remember that when they traded for Cease.
When they traded for Dylan Cease, I was like, what are they doing? Because they just gave up some. I know they didn't give up their top 3 prospects, but they gave up some prospects for a guy, Dylan Cease. Listen, I love Dylan Cease. I love him as a guy. I love him as a pitcher. But is he the guy that's going to take him over the top of the Dodgers, the Giants now, and even the Diamondbacks?
Here's my question.
And the problem is the lineup is not that good.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was like, can Dylan Cease hit?
Where did Crone Zone hit today? 4th?
3rd.
Crone Zone hit 3rd.
Wait, 3rd or 4th, Kratz? 4th?
3rd.
Talk so the podcast crowd can hear you.
3rd.
3rd? Okay.
That's
so it went. I didn't because I caught the game late, but
I watched every damn pitch.
Who went for Xander for leadoff?
Yep. And then it went Manny.
Then
and then
Crone
it
Zone.
went Crone Zone.
Tatis Profar.
No.
Kim?
No, Manny hit 4th.
It was Xander, Tatis, Cronenworth, Machado, Kim.
Yeah.
And then obviously a drop-off. But
it's 2021.
Okay, but let's just talk about this. Okay, Xander had a down year last year. I love Xander, so I'm not going to get on him. Tatis OPS was under 800 last year. Machado's OPS last year was under 800. Right? And I know he was banged up a little bit, but that is, I mean, Kim had a great year for him, and Cronenworth had a down year for him last year also. So is that 1 through 5? And then you go, who they're playing against? You go, Betts, Shohei, Freeman, Smith, Muncy.
It's not fair.
It's a little different. A little difference there.
Huge difference.
I mean, even if you go, I mean, even with what the Giants did and their pitching and what they brought in, I mean, it's different for me.
It gets worse as you go down the line.
Well,
That's
of course.
my thing.
Of course.
I actually think if you're anticipating some bounce backs, you're like, okay, I can see some superstardom at the top, right? With the Machado, Tatis, Bogarts. Yeah, Cronenworth's out of place there. But, I mean, look at the Dodgers lineup after what you mentioned. Like, after Smith cleans up and Muncy's 5th, Teoscar Hernandez, James Outman, who was a Rookie of the Year candidate about halfway through the year and obviously tailed off a little bit, but maybe he adjusts back. Hayward was subbed out for Kike, who had a big sac fly, and Gavin Lux is your 9 hitter. Gavin Lux can hit.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good looking lineup.
But here's what we saw today out of this game. And I obviously caught up late. I came in like I came in the 4th when they pulled Darvish. They wore him out. He threw 72 pitches in 3 2/3. Couldn't get through the 4th. That's what the Dodgers lineup does. And then what it does is it compounds it. They keep turning the lineup over. I know they didn't score runs early, but they just kept getting Betts up. They kept getting Freeman up. They kept getting Shohei up. They got Will Smith up. They got Max Muncy up. It's like, man, it just keeps turning over and over because they foul off a ton of pitches. They take a ton of pitches. They take their walks, and they just constantly have pressure on you. And unless every guy, and this is what we talk about Kratz in the postseason too, is when these teams try to bullpen games, and this is almost what Schilt did. He tried to bullpen this game. All it takes is one guy to have an off day. Boom, 4 spot, you lose. Right? And the guy who came, not Suarez, the guy came in and gave up the 4 runs. Wandy Peralta, leadoff walk. They brought in the righty. He gave up the boom. It was 4 spot before they could do anything. That's what happens with these bullpen games. It happens quick.
The human pitch clock violation, Wandy Peralta. Pedro Baez is the human rain delay. Wandy Peralta has to be the human pitch clock violation. He pitched last year, and he had 2 pitch clock violations. If I'm Mike Schilt, I am fucking pissed. 2 in the opener? How does that happen?
He's a leader in the clubhouse. Team lead is just through the roof right now for the Padres. That's going to hold for at least the first month. That's a lot of violations.
4 in one game. let's charge the damn mound and keep this going so we can make it official that, yes, our excitement is so high that we just got right to the good stuff.
Oh, hold on. The game started, didn't it, with a pitch clock violation on Darvish, like before the first pitch?
Not before the first
Oh, he
pitch.
walked a guy on
The walk was on the pitch clock
violation. Like, is there anything more 2024 MLB than the first hitter of the game walked on a pitch clock violation? Like,
well, that would have been 2023.
No, but 2024
said, okay.
for just the way it seems like with some of the news and the way things went this offseason, it's just like, man, like this is like the craziest way to start the first hitter is like, oh, pitch clock violation. Lance Barksdale, go to first. Like, dude, can we come
So
back
you're
up?
saying the pace of play of the off season
Is matched up to the first hitter of the game.
Nice.
3-1 pitch, violation.
Yeah.
Wait,
And that's not the guy that you want to pitch clock violate.
who, Mookie?
Yeah, he also stole a base, and your boy Lance Barksdale took it away from him. Barksdale took it away from him.
He did why?
Umpire interference.
Umpire
Foul.
interference? What's that?
Shooting 2. He went Campusano went to throw, and he hit Barksdale's either his mask or his chest protector, and so they called it back.
I've never in my life. Have you ever had that called? Because I had umpires and they never called. I never called it that. They were like, "Oh, you need to throw better," and I'm like, "You need to get the fuck out of the way."
You should have told him, "Hey, that's a rule. Call it."
Yep. AJ didn't know the rules. He knew dingers.
Oh, trust me, I bent every rule possible.
You knew what rules you could bend.
Are the Dodgers as advertised?
Today was exactly,
and
their bullpen was. First of all, I know
it.
it's first game. Glasnow looked good. 5 innings. I mean, he had a couple walks, which he's going to have. He has some punchies, but
He had 4 walks. Yeah, command a little off, but also Kratz mentioned in an awesome post-game show we did in the morning. That was a bad zone. That was tight.
Yeah, but still, listen, Glasnow 5 innings. If they get 5 innings from Glasnow every start, they would be ecstatic, right? And then their bullpen came in and was just Brazier. I mean, Phillips closing it is filthy, right? That whole crew, Joe Kelly. I mean, gosh, Daniel Hudson, who I played with like in 2004 back in the day. I don't know. It was a long time ago when he made his debut as a starter.
Throwing hard.
The White Sox still doing it. I mean, this was like a perfect Dodger game for them, how they win games. And, battled the pitcher, wore out the starter, got him out, got into the, as Kenny Williams just called it, the weak underbelly of a team, the bullpen, the longer you have a bullpen go. And just a typical, this is what we're going to see out of the Dodgers. I mean, they're going to hit more home runs, but eventually this is what we're going to see.
No wonder Kenny's out of the game. The weak underbelly of a team. There's whole teams that are relying on their entire bullpen. Kenny's like, you guys are idiots. I'm out of this game.
No. I mean, well, no, this was back
I know
when,
what you meant.
like, if you could get into the middle relief of a team, that was like where it was like a journeyman, guy that was like 85, 86, and you're like, okay, we just out there to give them innings. He's like, we can get into those guys. It's a weak underbelly.
I completely agree. But now teams are like, you want to get to our bullpen? No, they're like, swing at the first pitch, keep the starter in there. He's the only one that throws 93. Everybody else is a hunch. No, this is the Dodgers. This is what you're going to see from the Dodgers. Is this a really good game from the Dodgers? No. But this is what they can do. They're just going to beat down your pitch count. Especially in an era where there's a pitch count issue. Guys don't throw very long. This is the first game of the year. Isn't built up all the way. But to me, if they lose this game 2-1, they don't ever have that 4-run inning. You're like, oh man, kind of got away with one because they had a lot of runners left on base, and they still won. And they have guys that are able to shorten up and put the ball in play. You saw Shohei get robbed of what would have been, probably an RBI, if not second and third. He tried to take one and put it through the 6 hole there in the shift. I just see this team being suffocating.
By the way, the play we just showed, this one right here is crazy. I mean, I forget, someone was like, I've never seen that before. I mean, I've seen it happen before, but it's usually on like a line drive or a throw. It's not like on a high chopper that went through Crone Zone's glove.
You can hit it anywhere, but don't hit it in the Crone Zone.
Yeah, don't hit it in Crone Zone's webbing because it'll break through.
Hey, do you think that's a hit? I'm not saying it is. I thought
it's
I've
not.
seen it scored a hit when
No.
a fielder throws it and it rips through the first baseman's mitt.
No.
No?
No.
Okay.
An error on not only the fielder, but the equipment manager.
That's what people were freaking out on Twitter. They were like, how can a big league team do this? And how can they have – they don't know, man. Nobody's going through looking at gloves every time.
Only the player knows.
Only the player
But
knows.
you know, as a player, like I would look at my glove every pitch because, I mean, there was balls when I was catching, he'd break it, and you're like, some bitch.
So is it on him a little more than it should?
I mean, it is a little bit on Cronenworth, but I mean, again, he's not expecting a ground ball to go through his webbing. But that changed the whole – that literally – because that might have been a double play, at least one out.
I read somewhere the win probability change was like 40-something% from that play.
Because I think it gave him the lead, didn't it? Because it was 2-2, went through his glove, and then that gave him 3-2, and then the merry-go-round, and then it was 5-2 all of a sudden.
Correct.
But, yeah, I mean, it changed a lot of things. And, you know, I was listening to the Don Orsillo Mud game on my phone, and they were like, what is happening? You know, and because they're super homers. I love those two.
Yeah. Well, and they said last year a million times, just a bad luck year. I'm like, but was it? Was it a bad luck year? Or was it not the right mix? I mean, that team.
They had a lead after 7. They had a lead after 7 and lost today, which they did a lot last year.
They did.
Can't win close games. Couldn't win an extra innings till the end, and they blew a lot of leads, Kratzy.
Did they blow a lot of leads? I didn't know they blew a lot of leads. I know when you're leaning on Suarez, Hader was elite, but when you're leaning on Suarez to have the year he had the year before when they took him to
No, we just showed the tweet. I think they blew 11 leads leading after 7 innings or something. We just showed it.
Yeah, I can read
There it is. There you go.
I can read it for the crowd. Jason Stark said the Padres lost 11 games last season when leading after 7. The Dodgers won 9 games last season when trailing after 7.
That's a lot.
That's a swing in the same division.
That's a lot of blown leads after most teams. Like, you know, they always show the stat. The last 3 years, you know, the Dodgers are 287-1 when leading after 8 innings. It's some crazy number because it's so hard to come back against these closers nowadays. And usually you tie it, and then the home team ends up winning or whatever it is. So that's a lot of blown leads late in the game in 1 year.
Yeah, the team posted some really good numbers. They were second in the National League in ERA last year. I believe they were 6th in runs scored. Am I looking at the right notes here? I'm like, damn, they had some good numbers. But they had a really slow start, talking about the Padres. Yeah, and they were brutal in 1-run games and extras and all that. And then the record for me is deceiving. They won 14 out of 16 to end the year when it was over. Before we move on, let's go back to AJ trying to take advantage of every rule. Dave in the chat, ask AJ about this. I remember AJ once dropped a pitch on purpose to nullify a play, forgot the exact circumstances.
Only thing I could think of, I saw this in the chat and I was thinking about it. The only thing I could think of was like a guy was stealing and it was like a foul tip and I knew he was going to make it. So I didn't catch it.
Yep.
So the guy would have to go back. But I don't know how you would drop a pitch to nullify the play. That's the only thing I could think of. Like a guy was stealing, and I knew I had no chance. But I did that all the time. Like I knew because they used to keep a stat like when you throw and when you don't throw. So I would just not throw it because like we had a lot of pitchers that were like 1.8, and I was like, there's no point. So only something bad is going to happen. So you do the old I dropped it trick, and the ball would go away.
That's good. Don't waste a bullet.
Yeah. Plus, you know.
Yeah. You never had Tommy John. You don't waste a bullet.
I threw a lot. Trust me.
I'm saying.
I did not have Tommy John, nor do I want it.
Yeah. So anyway, that was fun. That was awesome. And we did almost 30 minutes around there for a post-game show with Clint Pasillas from All Dodgers. He's awesome. He joined us for that show. So if you want even more on that, you can check it out later. And we'll do it again tomorrow morning. Us three will be on for the Dodgers-Padres Soul Series post-game show powered by MLB Rivals. We are not doing that for every single regular season game, someone asked.
We might have a guest, too, just saying. If all goes well, we might have a guest from Seoul.
I'm just going to throw one more thing out there. Could it be a player guest?
We might get a player guest from Seoul. Obviously, that kind of stuff in the post game. Just saying. I know that stuff doesn't always go well, so I'm gonna underpromise, overdeliver.
That's fine.
Does he have the same initials as me?
No.
Are you sure?
I'm positive.
Okay.
Yeah, think about that one.
There's a guy on the Dodgers that we have the same initials.
He'd be cool, but he was just on.
Well,
Man, I'm slow today, but I got 2.5 hours of sleep, so whatever.
oh, I feel so sorry for you, Scott.
I don't need any pity. I'm just saying I might
a lot
not
of pity
be,
parties today.
I might not be my brightest today. This might not be.
I mean, I know you had to wake up before noon today, so it's tough.
Our show starts at 11.
Half the time you're asleep to that first hour. So,
well, it's tough. Eventually, I got to carry you guys, but we're about to be joined by Ken. We'll get into the game and some other news and notes, and also later on, we'll get into those comments from Jazz Chisholm that started a little bit of beef, a little bit of juice from the old Marlins versus the modern Marlins team that we're working with this year. So anyway, we'll get to that coming up in just a moment. But that was a fun game one.
That's a great way to start the season.
It was really fun.
I just wish it was at a better time because I feel like I was listening to, again, the Padres broadcast.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, we're on the air tomorrow at 2:30 a.m. I'm like, God. I get why MLB sent those two teams over there.
Because also they planned this in advance.
They play, but they've had Ho-Sung Kim for a while.
Yeah,
and he's like he's like Ohtani in Korea, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like he's a mega star over there. So I get why the Padres were the team to go and the Dodgers West Coast going over there. But it would have been so much better if it was East Coast teams where their fan base actually might be getting up at 6 a.m. to watch. Right? I mean, the Dodgers and Padres, I mean, I would love to see the numbers on how many people actually watch at 3 a.m.
The replay is going to crush.
The replay is going to smack.
Yeah.
In Japan?
No, I'm talking about in L.A. and San Diego, how many people were up.
Yeah.
Like Joe Davis is like, I just wasted my voice bullets doing this game that nobody watched.
He has a lot of voice bullets, but I like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Joe.
And then lastly, game 2 tomorrow will feature the MLB debut of Yamamoto. Can't wait. I cannot wait.
Now that numbers are going to be high in Japan.
Yamamoto. That is going to be wild tomorrow to see how he looks against big league hitters. I don't care what spring training was. That's been proven, especially by players that come over from Japan. Ichiro, Ohtani, etc. First time in spring training, they looked like crap, and it meant nothing. Let's bring in our first guest of the day, FT Senior Insider Ken Rosenthal, joining us right now. Happy start of the real baseball season to you, Ken. Did you enjoy that game one?
I did, and only in baseball could we see the first game of the season turn on a broken glove. It was amazing. And I wrote for the Wind-Up today, the Athletics Daily newsletter, about how this was like a bat call to Jason Stark. It's the kind of thing he loves. And it just cracked me up that here we have this team that spent more than $1 billion in the offseason. The pivotal play in its first win is because Jake Cronenworth's glove did not function properly. Loved it.
Ken, what do you think about the Padres and Overreaction City on their lineup? It seemed like they traded away Soto to obviously cut payroll, but also still be competitive in the pitching department and add to the depth there. Obviously, the bullpen let it up late against what looks like maybe the top offense or one of the top few offenses in baseball. But when you look at 1 through 9 for the Padres, do you feel like this is a playoff team?
No, and it jumped out to me, Scott, to be perfectly honest. The bottom 4, starting with Profar. And, of course, Jackson Merrill, Major League debut, hit 3 balls, I believe 95 miles an hour or more. So he hit the ball really hard. Can't take his over 3 and say, oh, my gosh, here we go. He looks like he's going to be a player. But Campusano at catcher, they don't have that bottom of the lineup that you would want. Now, Tommy Pham is sitting out there. If they want to go get him, if they want to spend the money, obviously right now they haven't done that, but he's available. There are other hitters available as well. Not so many as there were maybe even 2 weeks ago. But yes, that group looks thin. One other thing stood out to me in this game, guys, and it's something we didn't talk about a lot this offseason when we talked about the Dodgers and the money that they spent. That bullpen doesn't have a lot of big names, but Kelly was really good through the hardest pitch of the night. Brazier, Evan Phillips at the end, and Daniel Hudson back after that crazy knee injury he suffered last July. 3 of those guys were free agents. Hudson was a minor league deal. He'll make $2 million in the majors. Brazier signed a 2-year deal. Kelly a 1-year deal. They improved their bullpen too. And I know it was the Padres. I know it's the first game. We're not going to draw any massive conclusions. But that pen could be a strength.
Dang, Ken, you must have been listening when I was talking because that's exactly what I said. I don't know. Maybe you are finally.
I came in late.
Maybe you are finally turning the corner into listening to what I actually say about the games. It's congratulations.
As soon as you read his articles, he'll listen to your words.
I do read his articles. I read his article once.
AJ, I'm sorry. I was not online yet when you were talking. I apologize for missing your tremendous insight.
Ken, well, I mean, I understand you were sleeping because you went to some concert last night with some older gentleman singing. So I'll let it slide this time, okay? I mean,
AJ, how do you know I didn't watch the game though?
Because I know you can. You need your beauty sleep.
You definitely watched the game. That is a missed shot.
That is a missed shot. True, I agree. Ken watch the end. All right. So, anyways, let's get back to the game now. The thing about it was me. This is how the Dodgers are going to win games. They're going to get their starters through 5 or 6, right? Go to that bullpen and they wear pitchers down. They just literally wear them down until they find a guy that's weak and they're like, oh, here's 4 spot, right? I know the glove is kind of the story, but for me, the story is this is what just a tip. I know it's the first game, but this is how the Dodgers are going to win. They didn't hit any home runs because, according to everybody, they were saying this place is a graveyard. Like the ball just doesn't go anywhere. Like Kike hit that ball and Kike thought he hit a grand slam and it didn't even get to the warning track. Like Kike hit it and kind of pimped it and he's like, oh shit, that's caught, right? But to me, this is how the Dodgers are going. Yes, they're going to hit home runs, but pitch count, wear guys down. They don't make any mistakes. Mookie Betts look really good at shortstop and steal bases, and then they're so veteran heavy. They just do what they're supposed to do. So this is, to me, was a typical everyday Dodger win.
Totally agree, AJ, and that's how I saw it as well. And what's interesting, that game-winning rally, the 4-run rally in the 8th inning, didn't start with Betts and Ohtani and Freeman. No, it started with Muncy and went through the bottom of the order. We compare that to the Padres' bottom of the order. And then at the end, Betts and Ohtani gave you the the insurance runs. So it shows you the depth of that lineup for sure. In this game, they had 16 base runners. Only went 2 for 4 runners in scoring position, but they keep coming at you. This is the Dodgers offense. We've seen it for years. And now with Ohtani, who had a good game, 2 hits, stolen base, RBI, it's going to be even that much more formidable. So I'm with you. They're going to get kind of a patchwork look at their starting rotation all season. They're going to have to do some different things. Yamamoto pitching in the majors for the first time, probably won't go every 5th day, right? Buehler coming off Tommy John, he's going to need some days. Kershaw, once he comes back, they're going to do some different things to get through with the rotation, but they're such a well-constructed team that they should be able to absorb pretty much anything. And I know, again, it's one game, but all of their strengths were on display in this game.
I want to hit a little bit on the Padres because we can kind of transition to what you wrote about Scott Boras and free agency. It's another team that's not really spending on the DH position, and yet JD Martinez is out there. Transition it to your article, but also JD Martinez will look great on this team once Manny Machado gets back on the field, which they assume he will.
Totally agree, Eric. And I should have mentioned JD at the top along with Tommy Pham. Obviously, JD's the best hitter out there. At the same time, the Padres are in this position because they overspent in recent years. And they're in a situation where they have some problems with the debt service rule. They've got to get back in alignment. And this is kind of the result. So they are in a difficult financial spot, at least more difficult than compared to previous years. And that seemingly is precluding them from making another offensive addition. Could they use one? Absolutely, they could use one. And they could probably use another outfielder too. And as much as we all are excited by Jackson Merrill and the spring that he had, it's a guy that doesn't have much time above A ball. And He needs to get his feet under him. He might be fine, but he wasn't a high on base guy in the minors. So there are some concerns there. And if he doesn't succeed, if maybe he has to go back to the minors, something that even Mike Trout did once, then you're looking at another hole in the outfield. So right now, yes, they are short offensively. I don't know that we need to look at one game to know that. We could see that going into this situation.
Well, you're right, Ken, but this free agent thing leads us to another thing. I know you've read it. You're an athletic guy, and Evan Drellick and some other people have put out all this stuff about the Players Association, and it's because of the free agency. A lot of players are kind of not real happy with the way free agency went. So do you have any new stuff on the Bruce Meyer, Tony Clark, Marino, the whole deal, and what's happening in the Players Union? Because the owners are sitting back going, man, this is great. They're fighting amongst each other. We can't wait for the next CBA.
Well, the next CBA is still 3 years away, so the union has plenty of time to get their house in order. Clearly, they need to get their house in order. That right now there is dissension within the ranks. It's a lot due to what has happened this winter with free agency, but there are some other things over the years, communication issues, all kinds of issues that have bubbled to the surface here. And right now, we're kind of in a holding pattern. We are waiting to see how this kind of all plays out, whether Harry Marino can complete his coup, basically, and essentially become, if not the lead negotiator of the union, maybe even the head of the union, because the way this works, only Tony Clark has the power to fire Bruce Meyer, who is his lead counsel. But if he doesn't fire Bruce Meyer at the players' behest, if that is indeed what they want, then maybe the players go after Tony Clark. And that is one thing that is something to watch here, because it might not only be Bruce Meyer that goes, it might very well be, as Evan wrote in his most recent story, that Tony Clark is ousted as well. So this is a developing situation. Harry Marino is 33 years old. He's not necessarily a labor lawyer, a trained labor lawyer, yet he's a leader, and he apparently is a charismatic guy. And if he succeeds in this quest, he's going to need to put some people around him. And I'm sure there are players wondering right now, is this the guy we really want at the top? Maybe, maybe not. And it's just so interesting that this has happened, guys, right after the union toured all 30 camps. Tony Clark, Bruce Meyer, their whole contingent visited every camp. And once that was over, that's when this got going.
Is there a clear delineation between who is on whose side? I mean, on the outside, I'm looking at it and saying Harry Marino is, he has a lot of the minor leaguers. He has a lot of the, up and down guys that are seeing some manipulation in their salaries and stuff. And does Bruce Meyer have more of the, not that they would say they have it, but Bruce Meyer has the Scott Boras and the superstars, which would be essentially the entire executive board.
Well, the executive board has changed, Eric. It's no longer as heavy with Scott Boras' clients. So that's one thing we should note. With how many members are in the union? However member it is, 780, I think it is, or whatever the number is. Actually, it's a lot more now at the minor leaguers. You're never going to have any great consensus. You're going to have divisions all over the place. So it's kind of hard to categorize who is on which side. But I believe it's fair to say, talking to some Scott Boras clients yesterday, that they generally have supported Bruce Meyer. They have thought that he has done a good job. And if you remember, the executive subcommittee at the last CBA, which was comprised, I believe, 5 of the 8 members were Scott Boras clients, they did not want to approve this CBA. And ultimately, the greater player body wanted it and didn't want to go out and miss time. And that's how it got done. So all of these dynamics are in play. There are certain players that Evan mentioned in his story. Lucas Giolito, Jack Flaherty, they're represented by CAA. They are among the group that is trying to enact change. Ian Happ, he's represented by WME. He is also part of the group trying to enact change. Now, those aren't Boras guys, obviously. I don't know if every Boras guy is on board with keeping Bruce Meyer, but there are factions, no question about it. How it all breaks down, is it a clean breakdown? I would seriously doubt it. But that's what's going on here. all of these guys, Casey Mize put it well in a story that Evan and Cody Stavenhagen wrote. They're just trying to get to a better place. They want to get to a better place. Now, the one thing I will say, the players did approve this CBA. And after 2 years, when you start saying the CBA is no good, well, it's on you. You agreed to it. So I can see why they want change. This, again, has been bubbling for years. The agents, the player agents feel in many ways that they've been marginalized by Tony Clark and Bruce Meyer, and they haven't had enough of a say, and that's been an ongoing tension. But at the same time, if you don't like the CBA, well, you negotiated the CBA, you approved the CBA. You might want to get somebody different now. I get that. But again, there's responsibility all around here.
All right, Ken, I know we're getting deep into this right now, but this fascinates me because as a former member of the union and was in negotiations and went through, the replacement player era and a bunch of stuff. How much of this, and I mentioned this the other day, they've brought the minor league union into this too, right? And Marino was a big guy in the minor leagues, right? So what I read was there's 72 player representatives, right? 38 big leaguers, 34 minor league representatives. How much of this is the minor league guys saying, look what Marino did for us, and they're not even in the major leagues, so they don't even know. A lot of these guys, they've never been to the major leagues. Some of them might not ever make the major leagues. That's not a knock on them. It's just the facts, right? So how much of this has to do with these guys not really knowing what's going on and saying, oh, we like Harry Marino, he got us unionized and he can help the big leaguers. And then B, the other big problem that I've had, and I've said this before, is they're getting rid of the middle class, right? They're getting rid of the veteran guy for $2 million that'll sit on your bench. The guy the Dodgers have, right? Jason Hayward, platoon guy. I know he had a great year. Kike Hernandez, right? Austin Barnes. These guys that are veteran guys have been around, been through the playoffs, and this has been a union thing for me. The owners can hold down salaries. Yeah, they'll pay the top guys, but it's the middle guys that get held down because they're like, hey, we can pay a guy $750,000 and see what he's got and reward the organization. So to me, those are the two big things. One, are the minor leaguers driving this? And two, is it because, and I've read this, that the middle class is getting pushed out?
First off, AJ, the minor leaguers couldn't do it on their own, in my opinion. They don't have enough votes. They don't have enough juice. Without the major leaguer frustration, you wouldn't have this going on. That's what's driving this. Now, you might have the minor leaguers involved and supporting Marino. And one thing that's interesting here is, might it turn out, that by inviting the minor leaguers into the union, that Tony Clark and Bruce Meyer ultimately set themselves up for this moment? Because Harry Marino brought these guys in and he's now got some juice and here we go. So obviously there were a lot of reasons why the union wanted to bring in the minor leaguers, but it might ultimately hurt this current leadership. Now, as for the middle class, it's a great question. I don't know how you solve this problem though, because basically as teams have advanced their evaluation skills, they have come to realize that they can get certain production from young players that would be close to the equivalent of the production they would get from veterans. Now, I would argue that the veterans are accomplished major leaguers. They've proven it, and they also have intangible qualities that these minor leaguers or young players cannot give you. But that's the trend we've seen. Now, my question is, under what economic system would these middle-class players be taken care of so well? In a salary cap system, they might suffer the same way. I just don't know how to solve this problem. And to some degree, and I'm not trying to be harsh here or hard on these guys, to some degree, this is the natural course of events in the game, that those kinds of players routinely get squeezed, more so than obviously the stars and the young players. So I don't know the answer. I've said this many times before. There are players who signed late for not great deals, players who are still out there, guys who are legitimate major leaguers and should be under contract playing somewhere. I don't know what system would correct that. I just know that it's wrong what has gone on.
Okay. Well, listen, I've been around to the camps and I've talked to some of these veterans. We had Kike on here and he explained how he went through it. And I've seen a lot of these veteran guys that either I've played with or I've known for, 10 plus years, and they're all telling the same story. Like, there's no jobs out there
Agreed.
for me. There was no offers out there for me. So something is going on, And I know we don't want to use the C word. We can use the CBA word. We can use whatever it is. But it was definitely a strange offseason, and I'll leave it at that.
AJ, I'll just say this about the C word, and that's collusion. I was early in my career when collusion actually took place, when they had the 3 cases where the owners were found guilty of collusion, had to pay triple damages, and it was $280 million back in the late 80s that they had to pay the players. There have been cases since that have occurred. I do not believe this is as much collusion as it is groupthink. What I was saying earlier, that teams kind of use the same evaluation tools. They kind of look at players the same way, and they undervalue, in my opinion, players such as Ahmed Rosario, Tommy Pham, all these middle-class guys, Adam Duvall. We can go right down the line. And is that collusion? Well, maybe it borders on it at times. But collusion is when teams are actively conspiring, talking amongst themselves to hold down salaries. I don't know that that's going on. In my view, what's going on is teams are evaluating players all quite similarly and reaching the same conclusion. That is not technically collusion, but there is a fine line here. And the question is whether that line gets crossed. And when I hear agents tell me, and players tell me, I got the same 3 offers from 3 different teams in a span of like 2 days. That's weird. I agree. That is weird. And that's why the union instructs the agents every year to take notes on all their conversations. And that's why this flares up, this kind of conversation, seemingly every offseason.
Yeah, it's fascinating, Ken. And my thing, I mean, it would take just an epic battle to try and get salary floors on their side, service time, team control. I mean, you can draft a player at age 18 out of high school, and basically you control him until he's like 28 in most cases. You have a player for 10 years. That just sounds crazy if you redid the league to be able to have control like that, you know?
Well, the union had some ideas going into the last CBA negotiations, bringing down arbitration to 2 years, bringing down free agency to 5 years, age-based free agency. None of that got off the ground. And for either side to get dramatic change, both management and the union, the management wants a salary cap, which we know they do. If they really want it, you're going to have to miss time. And if the union really wants some of the things I just mentioned, we're going to have to miss time. I'm talking about a lockout or a strike, whatever the situation might be. No one has been willing to miss time. And I'm not suggesting they should. To me, it's all ridiculous. They should be able to figure this out. It's absurd that we have a sport where the labor management relations are as bad as they are. It's a $10 billion industry. Figure it out. And yet, it is what it is. There are, 50, 60 years of history here of bad blood, and that is why the sport is in the position it's in, and it's quite unfortunate.
And it takes center stage in our sport too, all the time, more so than other sports in my opinion, which is also annoying. Figure it out. I agree. Let's finish on a fun note, okay? So Ken, tomorrow is a huge day in the FT world, and I mean that for foul territory and especially for fair territory. Foul territory is going to run just like you would in old school television, right from our show. You don't even have to press a button. Into a live edition of Fair Territory. We will see you twice a week. The normal Monday show is still going to be out there, but Thursdays you will be live at 12:30. And I've heard rumors that there is a co-host that is going to join you, which we will announce.
No, I'm not
tomorrow.
moving. I'm not moving.
We'll try. We'll see. We got 24 hours
Actually,
to figure it out.
Scott, we interviewed, hundreds of thousands of people, potential co-hosts. AJ surprisingly did not make the list. Incredibly.
It was like the Ohtani sweepstakes.
I wasn't willing to move.
AJ was out early.
Ken got me a
You don't have
private
to
jet to
move.
fly to Arizona, and I said no.
No. The co-host is going to be remote. That's the only hint I will give.
Okay, that's fair. And the only other part I want to get here before you jump is an idea of what we're putting out there, because I have heard that, of course, you will go over anything significant that has happened since the Monday Fair Territory, but also I've heard rumors about Dude and Dork of the Week popping up there on Thursdays, and this being a very heavy fan Q&A session.
Scott, you are correct on all counts. And as the leader of our group, of course you're correct on all counts. You know exactly what's going on. So yes, we're going to have Dude and Dork of the Week. On Thursdays now, it's probably a better day for it, honestly. It's kind of later in the week. And we are also going to take probably a greater volume of fan questions than we do on the Monday show. So I'm really looking forward to this. The co-host is someone that people are quite familiar with, someone they are going to welcome and think that's pretty cool. So tune in tomorrow.
Dude, how does Mad Dog have time to do all these shows? That's what I want to know.
All right. I will rule out one person right now. Mad Dog is not the co-host.
Yeah, we can do a lot of
AJ
ruling
doesn't
out.
Kenny. We can rule out Brian Kenny too. Neither of those guys.
There you go.
who I've had
And
many-
AJ doesn't work extra, so we know it's not AJ Pierzynski. He doesn't work any extra or Fridays.
Never.
No, none of these people.
Exactly. Well, Ken, we can't wait. So we'll look forward to it, and we'll see you tomorrow for that debut.
Wait, hold on. Wait, I just got to ask.
Right.
No, before he goes, this is serious. How was the show last night? You don't have to say who you saw, but was it thumbs up? Because we got a lot of people that work here that are big fans of the person you went and saw.
There you go.
It's not his first show.
Yeah.
No, it is not.
Exactly.
It was not my first show. It was Springsteen. You could say it because
Did you
people-
dance in the dark, Ken? Did you dance in the dark?
AJ, I dance whenever I damn please. Now,
Oh!
people need to know.
Oh!
People need to know, and this is a kind of a running joke among the baseball writers. Most of the baseball writers in my age bracket, and we don't need to get into exactly what that is, are big fans of Bruce Springsteen. For whatever reason, it's just kind of weird that way. Some of the younger writers, a lot of the younger writers, kind of think we're old and tired and should improve our tastes. Well, okay, but we're all entitled to what we like to see. And I've been seeing this guy since 1979, and it's still pretty good.
That's awesome.
All right. Good for you.
That's a great way to end after some serious biz handled during that seg. So now I will say, are you good?
No, I just want to know if he covered Eric Church, because Eric Church covers Springsteen, so I figured.
He did not cover Eric Church, no.
Yes. And great talking to you. We'll catch you tomorrow.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. All right. So we've switched up our rundown a little bit in terms of conversation.
Now I got to look at it for the first time.
Yeah, Jazz Chisholm is on fire right now. So we are going to have a special guest join us soon on that matter. But in the meantime, spreading rumors is always fun. So we'll start with the Astros pitching situation. Jose Urquidy is hurt. Now, apparently the UCL is fine. No damage there. There is inflammation in his forearm muscle, according to Chandler Rome, and that's what the team said. So no throwing for him for 10 to 15 days. There's also a tweet out there from Jim Bowden. The Astros do not plan on pivoting to Jordan Montgomery, according to sources. So how do we feel about the Astros starting pitching situation right now?
No Verlander. To start.
To start.
But listen, you can lose. You can't win the pennant in April, but you can lose it.
Mm-hmm.
No Urquidy.
Guys coming back like McCullers later.
Way later.
Luis Garcia.
What did McCullers say? July, hopefully he's back.
July or August.
When we
right?
asked him,
Yeah.
right? Hunter Brown's going to have to step up. JP France is going to have to step up. Fromber's going to have a better year than what he had last year. Christian Javier needs to go back to what he was the year before. But if you're the Astros and Scott Boras is willing to do a 1-year deal for Jordan Montgomery with an opt-out, sign me up, please. Especially with the bullpen, the back end of their bullpen with Hader and Abreu and some of those guys. Sign me up, please.
They're an opportunistic organization, opportunistic owner. They make moves if the moves behoove them to make. If it's something that will help this team, and who knows, maybe Framber's the no-hitter Framber, and they don't need anybody. But they're a little shaky at the top. Obviously, it's about a 5-inning game for them right now with their bullpen, but they still gotta get there.
They went after Blake Snell.
Mm-hmm.
Snell's asking price was too high. Is Jordan Montgomery's asking price going to be similar? Or is similar at this point?
Boras probably thinks so, but I think it'll be a little bit lower.
You do? You think? Because essentially Snell is hoping he's on a 1-year deal and he opts out.
Mm-hmm.
It's $31 million. I know there's a bonus that's later, but the overall sum for the 1 year is $31 million. And if Jordan Montgomery is going to cost 25 plus, don't you think it's still going to be too steep for Houston? They don't want to go over that next luxury tax, the next salary cap number that gets you to the 45% tax.
Listen, it ain't my money. It ain't Kratz's money. Spend away, Mr. Crane.
Reporting the facts.
Aren't they 31? I think they're still 31 shy of that next.
Yeah, they didn't want to go 30 plus with Snell because so if they're at 25, I think they're still under.
Oh, okay.
I thought that's what it is. But
can we get Ken back on? I know he's dancing in the dark and all that stuff, but
no,
he's on Thunder Road right now. Can we get him back, please?
Oh, my goodness. 5 extra bonus points for every Bruce song that is mentioned in the show today.
That's not my boat. That's what he said.
You weren't born to run.
I'm not against it. I just don't have any info for you. That is not something I am very proficient on. I talk baseball and electronic dance music. So that's what he said. Jazz Chisholm was on the pivot and had comments about the early Marlins days for him. And then he actually had more comments since then. But let's start with this little soundbite, and then we'll bring on a guest to help us out on this matter.
Like, you ain't supposed to have a vet that's trying to bring down the rookies, bro.
Yeah.
Like, I was that guy that got in trouble so much because when I saw other rookies getting bring down by the vets, I was the one fighting the vets. That was the problem. Like, I was already a team leader without being called a team leader. But the vets, you can't be a team leader when you got guys in the clubhouse that's been in there for 9, 10 years. Even though they suck, they've been there for 9, 10 years. Yeah. And the team calls them the team captain, but, like, they're not a good captain. They're not a good person. You're not even a good athlete at this point. Yeah. You're just here. Yeah. And you're bringing down the young guys that are supposed to be good. Bro, like, I watched someone get called up to the big leagues, supposed to be, like, top 3 prospects on our team, right? He gets up there, hits a homer. Like, first or second at bat, hits a homer, right? His next at bat, he goes and does the Juan Soto shuffle, right? Like, he's a kid. His favorite player is Juan Soto. He just got to the big leagues. Tell me why he comes in the dugout after, he walks, get around the base, comes in the dugout after these vets sit on the side of him and start yelling at him saying, bro, you're not Juan Soto, bro. You shouldn't be doing that. Juan Soto is an all-star, da-da-da-da. You can't be doing that. Bro, what do you mean? He's having fun, bro. We playing a fucking kids games. Yeah. Like, that's when I step in and say, bro, y'all better back up off this boy, bro. This man is starting. He's playing every day for us. Why are y'all in his face? Y'all don't even play every day. Yeah. What's up? Like, get off my man, bro. He's supposed to be helping us win when y'all bringing him down. Yeah. And then after that, 0 for 50, 30-some strikeouts.
Dang. He's talking to football players. They're like, I haven't watched a baseball game in my life.
They're like, what's a strikeout?
I have so many follow-ups, and they're just like, what sport do you play? Anyway, we talk baseball all
First
day
of all,
long.
before we get to our next, he's talking about Nick Fortes? I mean, I don't know. That's what I was assuming he's talking about.
He's talking about Miggy Rowe.
No, but he's saying Nick Fortes, the kid who hit the homer and then went like. Remember, there was a big thing where he hit the homer. They showed his family in the crowd, and they were all excited. And then he like fell off the earth. I don't know.
Let's ask our
Jordan.
guest.
Yeah.
He comes from the Miami Herald and covers this team every day. And there's been more comments since Jordan McPherson is on the screen and with us now. Jordan, your thoughts on all the spice that Jazz is bringing over the past 24 hours?
Yeah, it's been very interesting to say the least. Obviously, we knew about some fractions, especially a couple years back when they had that big team. They had one of their big team meetings I believe it was back in 2022, where there were differences between how some of the veterans were thinking about how things need to go, how the younger guys thought things were supposed to go. We knew Jazz was in part of it one way or the other. Obviously, depending on who you talk to, would determine which side of the narrative he's on. But Jazz has always been himself. He's never shied away from being who he is, being, in addition to the freak athlete that he is, just being outspoken, being unapologetically himself. And that's what we're seeing there. Whether, again, that's Jazz being Jazz. I don't know all the specifics about some of the instances that he brought up, especially in the full podcast, but I knew there were some differences of opinions in that clubhouse, especially over, especially back those early years in Jazz, their 2021, 2022.
Okay, so listen, if I'm Jazz and I'm going on this show, I know he named Miggy Rojas, which everything I've heard about Miggy Rojas, he's incredible. So, and again, I'm not picking sides here, Miggy Rojas, Jazz Chisholm, but like he's like, oh, these veteran guys said this. Name their names. Like you're calling dudes out. Name them. Tell the guy who hit the home run and then went 0 for 50 with 30 strikeouts. Like, don't say this and be like, oh, well, now I'm like you're calling yourself a leader. Well, then lead and call dudes out and say this isn't the way we do it. Don't. And then he fought guys. Like, who'd he fight? Because you didn't hear. I didn't hear about him fighting anybody. Did you hear about him fighting anybody? Like, that seems to me like, hey, Jazz, like you're fighting guys. Like, let's hear about it.
Yeah, no, I never heard of any of that stuff. And on the Miggy Rowe side, he was, at least from the media perspective, Miggy Rowe was always available. Miggy Rowe was always, at least externally, one of the leaders, especially in those days, the dog days of that team. 2019 when they were 105 loss team, 2020 when they had to go through everything with the pandemic and COVID early. Miggy Rowe made himself go from a utility guy to being a voice in a clubhouse that needed a voice. And yeah, on the stuff with Jazz, you're right. It was a lot of this happened, but no real clarity as to, again, like you said, no names were called. There are people who are in there who could assume that they're going to be named. I can assume who the names are if you've been around the clubhouse, but since I wasn't in there, I'm not putting my 2 cents in there because I have an idea of who he's talking about, but I'm not 100% for sure who he's referring to in a few of those instances. But yes, you're right. If he's going to go out on that point, if you're going to go halfway, you've got to go all the way on that front.
Jordan, you've covered this team for a while. Do you think that was holding them back, or is it roster construction? Because that can bring us up to now, where generally people get along much more when they're winning, and there's much more beef when there's losing baseball. So the Marlins have had a lot of losing in their past. Besides last year when they were a playoff team, they didn't do a lot this offseason, so hopes are not high and their pitching staff is decimated.
Yeah, I mean, the clubhouse rapport the last couple years, again, you could see everybody interacts with each other. You never really see any negativity or pointing fingers. And honestly, at least from the time that I'm in the clubhouse, even in those early years, I started in 2019, that 105 loss season, you never really saw finger pointing inside the clubhouse, at least when the media was allowed in there. So I think it comes down to, in addition to the clubhouse rapport, just how everybody, the camaraderie in between the clubhouse, and also the direction from the people directly above them. By that, I'm talking about Skip Schumacher. You saw just in 1 year how he was able to infuse confidence in a team that maybe last year wasn't warranting the confidence of being told at the beginning of the year, hey, you can be a playoff team. If you guys execute to your potential, even if things aren't going right, you can win the game today. And Skip Schumacher's demeanor throughout from the very start gave this team an understanding of what it takes to not only win, but also to win as a team, and throw your individual stats aside, throw your individual accomplishments aside, and find a way to rally as one. And you saw it last year. Things didn't go perfect last year. Sandy Alcantara underperformed and ended up missing a year, and now he's out this year with Tommy John. You saw again, Jazz only played 90-some games. Their big hitters the guys who they signed that offseason, Gene Segura, Johnny Cueto, hoping that they could make an impact, didn't. And this team still found a way to win all those close games, winning one-run games, winning a bunch of walk-offs, and showing that they were able to compete. So I think when you look at it from that perspective, that dynamic also helped change some things in that clubhouse.
Jordan, let's get a little more positive here. I know kind of the Jazz thing is kind of a weird sentence, but I love Skip Schumacher. What are the positives coming out of Marlins camp? I know you've written an article about Sixto, who was supposed to be like unbelievable, hurt his shoulder. He's 3 years out, I think, now since he's pitched last. Avisail Garcia, we showed the tweet. Are these the two biggest surprises in Marlins camp so far? Is the fact that Sixto's got a chance to make the roster and Avisail Garcia is back healthy, ready. I think it's his free agent year, so back ready to have a big year?
Yeah, obvious 2 years left on his deal, so not free agent year yet. But Sixto, for me, is hands down, far and away, the biggest story from this camp. Because, I mean, I was here. I got to see his debut in 2020 during that COVID year, and just the swagger, the demeanor, on top of having 3 or 4 really good pitches that can just light up any opponent. To see him go from there to just the 3 years of struggles that have followed, going from 2 separate shoulder surgeries, every time it seems like he's about to take the next step, he has another setback. And just knowing that this year was basically do or die for him for the simple fact that he's out of options. So he basically has to make the team this year. And he came in confident. The first day of spring training, he said to us, this is going to be my year. And so far through spring, he looks like the Sixto of old. His fastball is still hitting the upper 90s. His changeup is still arguably one of the best pitches I've seen. And he's not going to be a starter. He's most likely going to be a multi-inning reliever, be able to go 2 to 3 innings. But just the fact that they're able to find a way to utilize him and get some value out of him after 3 years of waiting and hoping for something to happen, it's remarkable, to say the least. And you see the swagger, you see the confidence in him. When he walks out to the mound, he's doing his little shimmy. He's looking down hitters like, I know I'm going to beat you. And he's just fine. He's just building that confidence back up that he had back in that debut year in 2020. As for Avisail Garcia, he knows he needs to produce this year. First 2 years with the Marlins, again, he's making about $12 million a year, and injuries and underperformance just made him almost useless those first 2 years. He spent this offseason working a lot with Luis Ariz down in Miami. They've been swinging together. He's been working with Luis Ariz's hitting coach. And just from watching how he's looking, in addition to his body looking great and him losing weight, his swing, he's basically trying to mimic Luis Ariz's swing, but with Avisail Garcia power. If he's able to combine those two, and with the way their lineups are constructed, he's probably going to be batting 6th, 7th, 8th. So if he can be 80% of what he was before he's at Miami, batting toward the bottom third of the lineup, that just gives them an extra piece down deep in that lineup that's going to be able to help them lengthen out their 1 through 9.
Fans connect to players. They connect to players that are organizational players, free agents, all that stuff. How can fans connect to ownership in Miami when they go out and make one tiny splash the entire offseason after they brought in a new manager who led them, I know a lot of one-run games, people say lucky, with a beleaguered lineup to the playoffs? How can the fans in Miami get behind this ownership? Because that's who's going to be here way longer than any of these players, any star player they bring up.
No, you're completely right. And that's been the ongoing question for, Bruce Sherman's here. This is 7th year. It's been going on for 7 years now. They always say, we're going to invest in the team. We're going to invest money. We're not going to be payroll strapped, this, that, the other. The words are nice, but the actions need to be shown, whether it's going out and getting more than just one free agent and Tim Anderson. It's proving that you're willing to dedicate yourselves and be able to and keep the guys who want to be here long term. Luis Ariz being the biggest example of that. He has this year and next year, he has said 3 or 4 different times since the offseason that he wants to be in Miami. Peter Bendix and General Manager Peter Bendix, or President of Baseball Operations Peter Bendix, and Principal Owner Bruce Sherman have both said, we want players who want to be in Miami to stay in Miami. Well, Luis Ariz has said it. You guys are saying you want him. Why have there not been talks? Why is there not at least an open forum or an open discussion between them? If you want the fans to commit to you, you need to commit to the players that they want to see, whether it's a Luis Ariz or eventually down the road a Jazz Chisholm Jr. or making a big splash in free agency. They need to do something outside of just saying, yes, we are open to doing it. If you're open to doing it and there is mutual interest, you need to get something done, anything.
Or keep the general manager in there, Kim Ng, who did a bang-up job with zero cash. And now the new GM comes in, and we're hearing all offseason, Jesus Luzardo was on the trade block. We haven't heard as much about it now. Do you think that was real? Is it still going on if you think that was real? Or is that just like, hey, there's a bunch of cool pitchers out there. We want to see if we can get some value for this guy too? Yeah,
I don't think the Jesus Luzardo trade talks were as real as it came off, just because of the fact that without Sandy Alcantara, if you're going to say that you're trying to compete and build off a playoff run, Jesus Luzardo was their clear-cut number one. There's no way that they could justify to the fans specifically that if they're going to compete, but also ship off their top pitcher in the process of doing that. A few of the other guys were Cabrera, even if they went further down the line with Trevor Rogers or Braxton Garrett, those could be justifiable with at least heading into spring with the number of arms they had behind them. But Jesus Luzardo was almost always going to be their guy this year. And again, just the story what they have with how he's developed over here. He essentially became their ace last year, especially after Sandy missed the final month of the season. They knew he was going to be their number one. It was figuring out how 2 through 5 behind him were going to pan out. And whether that meant having to deal one of their guys to try to get a bat if they didn't get a Tim Anderson, or just going with what they had. I would have been absolutely shocked if some way Luzardo got dealt over the offseason.
Jordan, how was camp now that we're towards the end of it? I know you mentioned some of the individual players. What about from a front office perspective, kind of playing off what you just said? Is the ultimate goal here, we want to replicate the Rays as best as possible in every way possible, maybe with even a slightly lower payroll than Tampa Bay ultimately? It seems like they're kind of redoing what they have behind the scenes, and I guess also somehow can't do that while also adding to a roster that some thought was in their win now mode after a pretty tough tanking situation since they traded Giancarlo Stanton back in the day, and the rest of that team was disbanded, like JT Realmuto and Christian Yelich and many others. So is that what the plan is? Like, let's reset on the back end, then we'll reset the player personnel, and maybe we'll be a championship team in 2032.
Well, the way that I saw everything, I knew that when Pierre Bendix came in, just like almost every other new head of baseball operations, whether it's general manager or president of baseball operations, what have you, they want to create their own flavor. They want to be able to create their own identity. And Peter's entire career has been with the Rays. He knows, he's watched and had a hand in how they've established themselves, created their success with the low payroll. The Marlins, in a sense, before he even came here, tried to establish that, but not to the full extent of the Rays. And when I talked with Peter back over the offseason, he was basically playing it off of they need to build the infrastructure so that their future is secure, while also keeping an eye on how they can at least hold water with what they did last year in the present. And his philosophy, especially this season with the fact that they had a lot of their guys coming back, was he wasn't going to overspend on free agency just because of the way that the Marlins are financially at this point. The return of interest, he'd be able to get a lot more benefit from trades than from free agency. That's why they didn't do much. That's the logic that was explained publicly. So they're trying to toe both lines with make sure we're secure for the future while also doing what we can in the present. But Marlins fans have been hearing that we're on year 31 now. I think they've been hearing that for basically most of the franchise history. They're trying, but I understand where a new guy coming in and wanting to create his own identity is going to take that first year to create his identity, even if things were going well before. So we'll see how it all plays out. But this team, has a chance to do sort of. I feel like I've been saying this throughout camp that this team, I said last year, if things go right, the Marlins would be a 500 team. They obviously things did not go completely right, and they were still above 500 team. I'm feeling basically the same way about this team this year, that if things go their way, they could be competing for third in the East, which if you're competing for third in the East, that gives you a chance to be competing for potentially one of those last 2 wild card spots.
Yeah, it's a good point. And I obviously brought it up with some sarcasm because I lived for a while in Miami, and I have friends that are pissed, and many that grew up there and spent their whole life, right? Many people, especially in their 30s, 40s, 50s, that were Marlins fans, embraced the team from the jump. And they're like, yo, we hear the same thing, like you said, for 3 decades plus. It's so tired. Now we have to wait again for a new process in a division that includes the Phillies, Braves, and Mets when they bounce back. Okay. But yeah, I'm with you. There's some bright spots, but this was the time to capitalize. Jordan, great to have you on, man. Appreciate the time. And we'll catch you soon, okay?
All right. Thanks so much, you guys.
Thank you. Jordan McPherson. You can follow him on Twitter, and I'll look him up, and we'll post his Twitter handle and some of these lines that we just heard from him on FT's account, and read his articles in the Miami Herald. You can get that online. Just search him. Okay. we're going to have a special guest joining us in just a moment. But before we do that, let's get to our futures as we continue our focus on divisions. And we get to AJ's favorite division here. BetMGM futures, AL Central. Come on down. So the Twins are at -125. And then you've got the Tigers at +350. The Guardians coming in at 375. The Royals are +900. And the White Sox
Who?
are +5,000. So this is actually ironic. We have
Don't you think?
we have the team that AJ
I really do
spent
think.
beginning of his career with at the top, the beginning, and the team that AJ won a championship with at the bottom. So have fun, size up this division for us, and tell us if we should be looking for any diamonds in the rough below the money on the Twins.
Well, the White Sox are out.
Correct.
We can go ahead and we just
I'm going to spare
we
you
can
the
we can
comments.
just we can use blackout, whiteout, whatever you want to call it, and just go across the screen because they got no chance. Listen, I going into the year, I would have said the Twins are the easy, prohibitive favorites, but Duran's out to start. Theobar's out to start. DeSclafani's out. Another one of their starters I thought was down too. Was there another one I think I missed? I don't know, but
I'll look.
they have some pitching issues. Okay, I know Pablo Lopez and Ober and some of these other guys, Joe Ryan are there to kind of carry it, but Joe Ryan struggled the second half last year, right? Ober hasn't done it really for a whole year. Louis Varland, they don't know what they're going to do with him. I don't think so. Paddock's back. I mean, he's looked great, but he also had his struggles before Tommy John. The problem is just the other teams in this division aren't good enough, I don't think, to overtake them. I mean, it's not the Dodgers. What were the Dodgers? 950 yesterday, -500, or what was it? It was some crazy
I think
number.
it was -520.
Yeah, it was some crazy number, right?
Yeah.
So it's not quite that big of a gap. But listen, the Guardians are always sneaky. The Royals made some nice moves. The Tigers are, Skubal and some of their young guys can take the next step, but I just don't know if they have enough to catch the Twins. So I think it's a pretty easy division winner, but I wouldn't put 100 down to 125 to win 100. I mean, that just seems like a bad bet.
Yeah, I'm not touching that. There's too many things that could go wrong, but I don't know. Steer me another way, Kratz.
I mean, this is really my Bruce Springsteen. This is my boss Central winner here. Like, the Twins, they're tougher than the rest. Okay? The White Sox, the glory days are gone. The White Sox ain't happening. The Royals, they're still growing up. I don't think it's time for them yet. But the Tigers, that's my pick. I like +350. I like what they're doing. And I think if we sit and say, okay, which of these teams has an ace? The Twins have a number one in Pablo Lopez, and the Tigers have a number one in Tarek Skubal. And am I hinging my decision all based on one pitcher on each team? No. I'm also hinging my decision on the fact that I think the Twins strike out too much, and I think the Tigers are led by a manager that will get them to where they need to be, because it's probably about 3 years too late. I think the Tigers thought this would happen earlier, but they also thought Casey Mize would pitch in the last few years. So I think this hinges around what kind of Casey Mize comes back. So to me, I'm going with the Tigers, and I'm going to ship everybody else down the river.
Cute.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like the
those
Tigers
are,
too.
Those are Springsteen titles, by
Yeah,
the way. I know.
I caught some of that because friends behind the scenes were helping me out. Thank you.
Scott was looking at you, Kratz, like, what in the hell is he talking about?
Yes, I was.
Why is he
born
using
yes.
those words?
Yeah.
But no, first of all, well done, Kratz. Very creative.
Thank you.
Stay hot. And yeah, I think the Tigers could make some noise.
I do too. I think the Royals, I think it's going to be a lot tougher division than what it has been the last couple of years for them.
Really?
I do, because I think the Royals are better. I think the Guardians always have sneaky good pitching, and they just I don't know. Listen, I know they have a new manager, Stephen Vo, but it's not Tito, but he's going to be fine.
Yeah.
And then the Tigers have been, like Kratz said, they're supposed to take the next step, and they've been waiting and waiting and waiting. It just hasn't happened. So, I mean, yeah. I mean, there's ways that you could have this. This isn't like the other divisions where you look at it and you say, okay, the Braves are kind of the class, and but this is a division where you could see ways that things could happen, because all it really takes for the Twins is God forbid Pablo Lopez goes down, and then you're like, oh man, or Buxton doesn't come back, or whatever. Royce Lewis gets hurt again. It's like there are ways for other teams to take the next step.
Mm-hmm. Jackson Jobe is one of the top pitching prospects.
The second baseman.
Him up with the Tigers
who's the second baseman that they just
Cole
signed?
Keith.
Cole Keith. He's a monster, by the way.
He is a monster. Dude can hit, and I like the move to put him at second base. Less stress because of the questionable arm, according to scouts. So let him play second base and just absolutely rake at that position. If they think. If he turned into what they think he can be pretty quickly, too, because there was success last year at upper levels of minors. Yes, Kratz?
I was just going to say it's a better division. I don't know that it's tougher for other divisions coming in going. Everyone else in other divisions that are contending are going to be like, I would love to be in the Central. It is a better division. I think that's what AJ was getting at, that everybody is just a tick better than they were.
Except for one team.
The White Sox are worse.
They're a tick worse, and they lost 100 games last year. I mean, they traded. I mean,
and they lost. Yeah,
they lost a bunch of guys. So I mean, it's going to be interesting. Kopech's out. He's not in the starting rotation.
Go Crochet.
Crochet is the one who's starting.
Crochet is the savior.
Who's also been out for 2 years, and they're like, hey, we're going to start you opening day.
Yeah. Well, you get a good 100 innings out of him, and hopefully build up for
next year,
2029 when you're.
I'm going to ask this question again, and we had this question the other day. Who wins more games this year? Scott Braun's Oakland Athletics or Erik Kratz's Chicago White Sox?
I think the A's win more games than the White Sox.
I still think the White Sox get them right at the end because they're going to have a few vets from the Royals days who will just take off a weekend when we celebrate the 10-year anniversary of losing to the Giants.
I think the A's are going to be a little bit better than people think. Could they still be a 100-loss team? For sure. But I mean, if they lose 102 and the White Sox lose 106, it's an easy dub. It's actually a good play. We talked about it, I think, on a day when you were away. There is a play on BetMGM for worst record in baseball.
Yeah,
and
I was on here.
Oh,
we had this argument. That's why I was wondering if you changed your mind.
No,
because this was before the Cease trade.
The White Sox are a good play. Yes, it changed, I'm sure, a little the line, but the White Sox are a good play there instead of the A's.
And we got it at plus 500. So then they traded Cease, and I don't know where it's at now, but I appreciate your timely gambling.
Thank you. So on that note, the first bet $1,500 offer is on. There's Jalen. Download the BetMGM Sportsbook app on iOS or Android, or visit BetMGM.com. Sign up and deposit at least $10 into your new account. Place your first wager and receive up to $1,500 back in bonus bets. If the bet loses, got to use the bonus code FOUL, FOUL. And if that bet does lose, your bonus bets will be available once your initial wager is settled. Also, North Carolina, brand new. You've got the BetMGM Sportsbook app, or go online, and that's the Bet 5 get $150 instantly offer. You get $150 in bonus bets, regardless of the outcome of your wager, when you put $5 into your account and place a wager at standard odds price at $5 or higher. Gambling problem or concern? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Okay, here we go. It's going to be fun. I'm excited to bring on a friend of mine who has a very popular YouTube channel and a very good idea for both of you that we have been talking about behind the scenes. So let's bring him in, and he's going to kind of take over. So maybe I'll just leave for 15 minutes and let Austin take over. Austin Kleschka joining us right now. Austin, good to see you, dude. You excited for this? And I'd like to get the intro from you on what you have planned for our big league savants.
I'm doing good. I hope you guys are all doing good. It's nice to see you again, Scott. Nice to meet you, AJ and Eric. So today we got this new game that's been going crazy. It's called Batter Up. Basically going to get a silhouette of an MLB player, and you got to figure out who it is. So we got about like 10 stances. We're going to try and figure out who this is. And you have 6 guesses per stance, and we got to figure out team, division, and just break it down if we just can't figure out the swing. So I got it pulled up right here. And March 19th is the one I believe we're starting on.
Are these all active players, or is this anybody in history?
Yes. All active right now.
Oh, I know it looks like Gavin Lux, but I don't think that's it.
No.
We can start with that just to get a guess.
The bat laydown.
Oh, you know what? I think I know who this is right away. I think it's Luis Rengifo.
Oh, yeah, I never would have gotten that.
Wow, that's tough. No, I would not have gotten that one.
Yeah, you win.
Let me see.
It?
Come on.
Yeah, Luis Rengifo.
Oh, you're
Wow.
a beast.
Yeah,
Nailed it. Wait, hold
I
up.
could have had 200 guesses
Hold
and I
up,
never would have
though.
got that.
Austin, because I know you better than these guys do. Tell them the team that you watch most frequently.
The Angels. So that one was kind of a layup for me.
Wow.
Exactly. All right, and let's do it this way too, because I think you're on a little bit of a delay. Maybe, let's try and let these guys play it out. Although I don't think we're gonna get all Angels unless you rig this thing.
Oh, that's Bryson Stott. Just put it in the book.
Okay.
Damn.
No.
I thought I'd be pretty good at this.
Let's see.
No,
Yeah.
I mean that was good.
I feel like this is up my alley. I feel like I should be good, but maybe I'm setting myself up for failure here. So keep bringing them on. Crank them Jones out.
I felt like I'd be good. I suck at this so far.
It's only been 2.
That's my. Oh,
Let's see.
I'll give you a hint. First baseman from the Rangers.
Nathaniel Lowe.
Mm-hmm.
Wow,
Okay.
Kratz, are you that good?
Look.
Damn, dude. That had some Matt Carpenter vibes to it.
Yeah, wow.
The finish.
I haven't missed yet.
Little too flat for a Matt Carpenter vibe, but I see that. That and he would have been like right on the plate. The algorithm, the picture would have been like, oh, why is he in the strike zone? But the last one I got because that's my hometown in the streets of Philadelphia. Bryson Stott, you know?
Yeah, well, let's keep running this thing then.
That's Jose Abreu.
Yeah. We're killing it so
good
far. I
one.
mean, we
I
haven't
got that one.
had to make a second guess.
The
Let's see.
heel
Keep it
the
going.
heel finish is what I was
Ah,
looking at.
That's not right?
no. So
Okay.
if we look right here, it says, let me see. So we got where they were born correct, and the division is yellow. So that means, let me double check, yellow division. So it's matching.
So green.
So
So that
they're in the
means
AL
Cuban.
West? Cuban in the AL West.
So they could be anywhere in the AL. So it could be
It's
AL
not
East,
Gurriel,
could
is
be
it?
AL.
Yoel Moncada from the right side.
Oh man, I wouldn't have gotten that. Man, I loved Abreu. That's so crazy that it's a Cuban though. Like, yes.
Yeah, Moncada. Yeah.
I think through this, I think you're going to start to see, like, I don't know, like Cubans. There's a certain way Cubans learn to hit. There's a certain way Dominicans learn to hit. See if there's going to be, like, similarities. This game is way more fun than Baseball Reference.
Mm-hmm.
Kratz, by the way, the heel, you said the heel turn is what I thought it was.
Yeah, I looked at the heel turn. That's what.
Oh, that's Cronenworth.
Chrome zone!
I'm almost
You
positive.
can hit it anywhere. You can hit it in the home zone.
Let's see.
Damn.
Yeah.
Team USA,
Wow,
teammate,
we're killing it.
2019.
Hell yeah.
Ooh, off of Hobie Milner too? On Jackie Robinson Day?
Don't go in the Crone zone.
Oh, I'm in the ground zone.
All right, 14. Love that
This is
stadium
fun.
too. That stadium is beautiful.
Oh,
Oh, that's
easy.
Max Muncy.
Yeah, that's Max Muncy.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How do you know
Easy.
you watch too
Especially
much
with that
baseball?
finish? So easy to tell.
Seriously, how do you know you watch too much baseball?
Is that what it is?
I think so.
Man, you really dumbed it down for me. I'm feeling so good about it. Now I feel like a dork. I'm not watching any more games until 6 a.m. tomorrow. Actually, no, I'll watch spring training while I'm eating.
Oh man, who's this
Yeah, it
one?
looks like
Whoa.
Miggy, but I don't. It's not Miggy because they're all
Been on
active,
such
right?
a good.
That back, smashing it on his back.
Soler?
Scissor kick.
Oh, I like that choice.
Yeah.
Let's try Soler.
It's
and see
the
if we can get
finish that
Cuban.
makes me think Soler.
If I could see.
Wow, that I couldn't have been more wrong.
So what is every he,
32.
number 32? Is that what number he is?
What was that?
How do we
Age
know what you're?
32.
So
Oh,
he's,
no,
he's
Soler.
not in any of that stuff. So he's not from Cuba, not in the
We-
NLS, not with the Giants.
Yeah,
obviously.
Is it Willie Adames?
Yeah, I got that all wrong. We can try that one. We just got to get something to
Yeah, we need some kind of.
get us the right path.
He's also 28. This guy's also 28.
Damn, Jeremy.
Okay.
No, not Jeremy.
No,
Pena.
so if it's yellow for age, it's within 2 years.
Oh, that's not close.
Scott, you got any guesses on this one?
Fun fact: I knocked out my monitor, so I'm struggling today.
There's a monitor to your right.
I know.
Jeez.
I'm lost on this one. This is the first
Stanton?
one that's got me
I
stumped.
can give you
Yeah,
guys a lot of
that's, not
guesses.
Stanton. That's not Stanton.
Yo, the chat is lit. You want me to give you guys
Yeah, let's hear the chat. What does the chat have?
what the people are saying?
They're saying
like,
Tommy Pham.
Glaber, Gritchick, Baez, Jake Myers. No, Mike said
Tommy
not
Pham's
Tommy
too.
Pham.
Tommy Pham's too old.
Ooh.
How about McCormick? Chaz McCormick.
Not enough scissor.
Yeah, but there's a little scissor in there. Depends on where the pitch is.
He does pull this ball. Okay, I don't hate Chaz McCormick.
At least that'll get us
Yeah, we can try.
maybe a division.
Yeah.
Chaz Michael.
Oh, it's on the Astros.
Boom, is it Jeremy? Or
Who
what's
said
the little
Jake- who said Jake
Jake
Myers?
Myers?
Who said Jake
In the
Myers?
chat. In the chat, they said Jake Myers.
Nice chat.
Look at that. Nice.
Boom.
Wow.
Off the
By the
halo,
way, he
too.
didn't pull that ball either. It went to right.
Wow, I was way off. I thought if that was McCormick would have been in a pretzel to hit that ball to right center. God, stumped me on that one.
Damn. I like this game. It's
Yeah, that was the first one we struggled with, I would say.
Not the Scott. Scott's not playing today. Scott's taking
I'm
his
doing
ball and
things.
going
I'm
home.
working the chat. This was for
I
you
do
guys.
other
I want
things.
Austin to run ship.
Oh.
This is Austin's.
I would say that's
saying-
Andrelton Simmons, but he doesn't play anymore.
Trey Turner.
Yeah. Grand slam against Venezuela.
Let's see.
Yeah, the one in Miami for sure.
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah, that's definitely Trey. Gotta be.
This game is so much fun. I'm getting lost. in
No,
this game.
really.
Uh-oh. No, it's not Trey Turner.
Oh, button.
Not true.
Button is
Not.
jammed.
Wow.
Button is
NLEs.
jammed.
Slow number guy.
So the division being yellow, it could be that means it's anywhere in the
That's it.
NL.
Wait,
So it
come
could be
back.
West, it could be Central.
Oh. He's from the USA, though, right? Because we got
Oh,
that down.
Yeah, that's right. We got that right. And then so his number is also single digit. So if it's yellow on the number, that means it's in the same tens. So since we got 7 right there, it could be anywhere from 0 to 9.
People are saying IKF.
I feel like he ends a
try it.
little.
Or-
I was
I
thinking
haven't,
Lane
seen, I haven't
Thomas.
seen him enough, though, so I don't know.
But that would be
Oh,
green.
that-
But he's
finish.
American League, so it doesn't work. National League.
I
guy.
recognize that finish. That, oh my god, that's the one. That's the part that's bothering me. That finish is so recognizable.
Pete Alonso?
No, he's two-hand finish guy.
Looks like Shane Robinson. So all I'm thinking is Cardinals right now.
Sugar Shane.
Sugar Shane. That's a second Sugar
Machado,
Shane.
what about Machado? Didn't Machado finish like that?
Yeah,
He's not single digit, but he's not a single digit guy, so that doesn't help.
No, he's a single digit now.
Oh,
Is he
you're
eight?
right. Yeah, he wears 13.
He's
He wears
13.
13.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gosh. Someone throw a guess. I was just informed Machado's not from the USA. I thought he was born in Miami.
Yeah.
So I thought too.
Grew up in Miami. I got to look up the actual birth.
Gosh, someone.
Will Myers, maybe.
He's not
Tommy
active. is he?
Edman? No, the guy actually turns his back foot, so it's not.
Oh,
Will
you're
Myers.
right.
Gosh,
Yeah.
man, nobody. What about Glaber's American League?
This one's it's gonna upset me the most on this one.
All right, throw a name
Dude,
out
that-
there.
Tommy Edmonds was the only one I was thinking.
You can try it. It'll knock off the Central too, so we'll know if it's in that division.
What's the one on the right? So he's
Center
an
field?
outfielder.
Center
Outfielder
field or
from the USA.
Center fielder. So NL West center field, born in the USA, wears a single digit.
Well, Jackson
Oh,
Merrill hits
West.
left-handed. Altman's left-handed.
Mm,
Maybe the Rockies? Who's the Rockies center fielder?
Nolan Jones was playing at left.
Doyle.
So it's NL West.
Um,
Diamondback center fielder is Alec
Yeah.
Thomas. He's a lefty.
man, this one's bugging me.
Padres, do they have a center fielder?
Brenton Doyle?
That's the only one I can think of. Doyle?
Yeah, we can try Doyle.
Boom.
Yeah, Brenton Doyle.
We could have had a million guesses. I never would have guessed he was a center fielder for the Rockies.
No, not without. I knew he was a center fielder.
No, he's
But
fast, but I don't
That's
know
what
that
he-
I've ever seen him hit.
yeah, he doesn't hit much.
Yeah, but
He's a
not
really
off.
good center fielder, though.
No, I mean I don't know that I've watched like when he comes up. I'm
Yeah.
not like
Well-
because he's on the Rockies, not because he's not a good player.
Yes, it's a Rockies irrelevance thing. It's fair.
Yeah, it's more that.
So we got 3 left now.
I
Rockies
was
are
told
waiting
two.
on a sunny day,
sorry.
that's for sure.
Oh my.
Who's this
Come on,
one?
Kratz. Oh my gosh.
That is
Keeps
so.
the hands high.
Brandon Moss.
Oh,
Someone
man.
said Profar. I actually like that one. Jurickson Profar.
All right.
He kind of has that
I'm cool
finish, but
starting
that's
with
not
it.
his stance, I don't think.
Let's see.
That one looks very, very like.
Jurickson. We've got a lot of these. I'm on fire.
Yeah,
Born
we've
to
been
run.
killing it. This is honestly the best stretch I've had playing this game.
You can never tell when you're in the badlands of swings. It's tough.
Let me see.
Scott's like,
I'm
I
not-
don't get it.
I'm not getting Jurickson to pop up. I can't get him. Every time I type it out, it's not giving me his name.
Oh, then it ain't him.
Try something
Then
else.
it ain't him.
Tyler Wade?
How about Tyler Wade? They're on the same team. It'll eliminate a bunch of things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tyler Wade starts the same. The finish.
He ain't showing up either.
So they're active. They both played today against the Dodgers.
Yeah. Man, we can go with.
It looks like Corey Koski.
Let's see. I'm trying to think.
Corey Koski.
What about? Gosh, I'm trying to think of
Jesus Sanchez, Marlins.
some- Yeah, try
Put
it.
it in.
This one we got to
Put it
try
in.
anything.
Yeah, all right, let's try that. All
So
right,
he's an out-
got
we
the
got an
position
outfielder.
right. Yeah, right fielder.
Right field.
Yeah.
But he's not in the NL, so he's an
Right.
AL right fielder.
AL right fielder. That's correct.
Are we just missing this and it's like Evan Carter or something?
Gavin Sheets. I don't know. I'm trying to think here.
Gavin Sheets. That's a monster.
I kind of like Evan Carter.
All
Yeah,
right,
put
try
Evan. I don't
Try
think it's
that
Evan
one.
Carter, but no surrender. We're not giving up.
No, we will not give up. We never give
No.
up. We're like Jimmy V.
Yeah. Okay. So it's either Central or East. So trying to go
Right
by
fielder,
each
Gavin
team.
Sheets.
Yeah, say it. That's the human touch
Gavin
of this.
Sheets?
I like it.
AL Central.
Oh,
AL
Kepler.
Central right
It's,
field.
It's Kepler.
Yeah, it's Kepler, right?
It's
Oh,
Kepler.
Man, how do we not
Kepler.
get that?
Very,
Did
very
you get that or
distinctive.
did Jack get it?
I got it via the chat.
That's such a unique
Max
swing
Kepler.
too.
Yeah, it's a unique finish and a unique swing. Corey Koski-esque.
Yeah.
One more.
Those German Canadians swing the same.
All right. Let's
Kratz.
two more now. Two more.
No, one more. One more.
Koski.
Corey Koski. Shannon.
Okay, one more.
Oh, that's
that's
Bogart.
Oh,
Yeah.
Bogarts. Yeah. And with a banger.
Easy peasy.
Yep. Easy.
Look at Maldonado. Dang it.
Awesome.
I know. Oh, why'd I call that pitch?
You guys are good.
Is there a better
Strong
catcher in
finish.
the game at showing his emotions when a guy gives up a dinger than Martin Maldonado?
Yeah.
Plays good money.
Do you remember the dude that played for the who did he play for? Severino from the Orioles. He took his mask and spiked it one time.
Oh, yeah.
Pedro Severino.
Oh, yeah. Nationals.
That was
Nationals
fun.
too, yeah.
That was great.
Yeah, that was great. So Austin, let's just finish with this. I mean, tell us about your journey in the YouTube world as a huge baseball fan, and what are your thoughts on the season? Obviously, you're an Angels fan. This was a tough off season for you, but kind of give us your parting words here, and hopefully we'll do this again too.
Yeah, so I've been making content for probably 6 years now, and I went to school to do digital media. I had an opportunity playing on another channel, and I was like, you know what? Let me put my own foot in the door and see if I can do this, and I've been doing it ever since. And with the Angels, I mean, man, losing Ohtani, that's got to be one of the most painful losses for anybody. But
Since 2005.
the only but the only person on this team that makes me feel a little hopeful is Ron Washington. I love him as a manager. I love his personality and what he brings to the team and how I believe he's going to handle it. It's going to be tough, but if there's anybody that's going to be managing this team in this tough spot, I'm glad it's him.
You know, we like Wash.
I love Wash. I played
Yeah.
for Wash.
I hope if there's
Yeah.
bullshit with the team, because roster talent wise, they're not in a great spot compared to 3 teams above them in the AL West. I just hope that Ron Washington's like, no, cut the crap. This guy's getting benched. Like we're not doing this. Guys that want to play, guys that are here to rep the org the right way are the ones that are going to play. I don't care how much you're making. I don't care what you did in the past. This is my team now. So, and I think he's a guy that can do that and have leeway to be able to do that. So, Austin, that is something I think even as a fan going through probably another rebuilding kind of situation here, you can be proud of, right?
Yeah, if I completely agree. I totally think he's going to be that guy where there will be no BS. You play the game hard. You play right, or you're not playing.
He's on that Artie Moreno Wi-Fi. Sorry, Austin, but we'll get you back next time with a stronger feed. But you said play the game hard. That's like the perfect way to finish it. And I know we'll have this video up on your channel as well with some edits. So thanks for joining us, dude. We'll get you back on for this. These guys liked it, so we'll do
that
it
was
again.
fun.
All right.
Awesome. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Austin. You're the man. Appreciate you.
Yeah. Appreciate.
So expectations were exceeded there.
That was cool. It was cool. It was hard because you see it and you're like, gosh, I know that swing. Like Kepler was like the one. You're like, man, I know that swing because you recognize like the finishes a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Bogarts was easy because you see him and you're like, oh, that was easy.
The steps on the you're saying like what was the part on Bogarts that
The
made
finish,
it so easy?
like as soon as he finished, I was like, oh, that's Bogarts.
Right.
I mean, that's the thing, and so well, that's like when I thought Jose Abreu because Kratz said the way his heel comes up, the way his toe comes off the ground, like it looks. But then I thought about it, I'm like, oh, Moncada swings like that also.
Yep.
So it's cool.
We get
Bogarts
multiple
thing-
guesses.
The Bogarts thing, it looks like the bat's going to come out of his hand at the end. Like it's like super loose, almost like the knob is just connected to like two of his fingers or something at the end of the bat.
Yeah, and Max Muncy. I mean, just the guys have certain guys have very I don't know what the word is. Stances that are
Distinct.
just like
Yeah.
distinct stances. You're like, I know that guy. In the finish, you're like, oh, I know him right away.
Mm-hmm.
Like if we did Harper, you know Harper right away, right? Or Matt Olson, the way he stands with the bat like this, and then he brings it in like that. There are certain guys that just have certain things that you're like, okay, boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's cool. We'll do it again. Right now, we will slap hands. Just getting out a little bit early today. Give everyone a little breather as we get going with another post-game show tomorrow morning, probably in the 8:45 a.m. range, 6 o'clock game. Yamamoto's going to go 6 shutouts, so it'll be pretty quick. Musgrove's going to match him, so we'll see what happens. But the Foul Territory post-game show after the Soul Series concludes, we will be live right after the game on the FT channel. Okay,
I might
So
actually
check
be
that
able to
out.
join you tomorrow if
would
I
be-
decide to.
That would be lovely. We would love to have you. The invite is open, and the invite is open to whoever Kratz is able to corral from Korea.
Does it depend on who wins, Kratzy, if we get a guest or not, or does it not matter?
Maybe. You know how it is if you lose a game, it feels like maybe I shouldn't be hopping.
Well, I just want to know what team I need to be rooting for. So
Okay, let's root for the Padres.
It's a Padres
Crone
player.
Zone, baby.
It's a Padres player. There you go.
You can call it anywhere, but don't call the Crone Zone.
Don Orsillo, Kratz hats. What do you got?
Yeah. And you know what? Only the strong survive. So this is a Auburn Doubleday hat. Auburn Double Days.
I'm into it.
Okay.
A little too
Like
cartoonish for me, but
The double D's, you can't really see the double D. You can only see the one big D.
That's what she said. I'm into it. I like it. You were just teeing me up.
giggity.
Oh boy.
What do you got? B plus?
I like that. It's a B minus for me because
B-?
certain things are hidden and it's kind of hard to tell exactly what it is.
Fair.
But I
Yeah.
like the cartoony face with the big mustache. Looks kind of like Yosemite Sammy.
Yeah, I like that. I like the cartoony vibes. It's got to be the right kind of cartoon for me with baseball, but the big league chew vibes. So I like it. That was good. And lastly, a reminder to everyone that tomorrow is a very special day as we welcome a new co-host to the Fair Territory fam with Ken Rosenthal. Our show will be live after Dodgers Padres and then live again at 11. And then we will jump at 12:30, but you won't have to move. And I'll obviously be aggressively watching that show and in the chat, maybe even trolling our hosts and asking them questions and seeing if they pick me because they'll be a grilling Ken. But 12:30 Eastern time, Fair Territory with Ken Rosenthal and ... Can't wait for that. And Ken's very excited too. There'll be a lot of fan interaction there to be able to ask Ken questions about, lingering free agents, upcoming season. He'll have thoughts on game 2 of Dodgers, Padres. I'm sure he'll probably lead off the show with a word on Yamamoto, depending on how that looks, but it's going to be fun.
If Ken can get up in time to watch the game tomorrow.
Does he have another concert?
I mean, it's at 3 a.m.
Maybe that's his co-host. Maybe his co-host is
Springsteen?
Bruce?
Dude, Mark, oh my gosh, Mark would die.
Oh my gosh, Mark would be like a
Bruce watch ball like
schoolgirl.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Mark would be like all NFL fans with Taylor Swift.
Our EP behind the scenes. But anyway, hey, thanks for watching today, both shows, if you did both. And make sure you tune in tomorrow to both shows and then Fair Territory as well, as we start to build what the modern baseball network should look like eventually on the pathway to 24/7. But it's going to be a special day tomorrow. So join us and support Ken and new co-host too. We'll see you then.
Thank you for everyone that
Blake.
tuned in. Subscribe, please.
Blake
It's free.
Frazier, happy birthday, kid.
And happy birthday, Smokey Brad Hand.